Let's continue with part 2 of sponsorship. The next three fields we want to talk about are outbound fee, monthly goal, and monthly budget. These fields don't have a specific definition. You can use these in any way that you wish. They're mostly informational and don't appear on any reports. The fields from country through position are again optional and are fields that you create the codes for. Many of these fields in this section and above can be displayed on the online community page to give your prospective donors more information about the child. Now you'll notice that there are 5 note fields here. There's no specific reason for the separate fields, so you can use them as needed. Some organizations put the notes about this child that came from the field staff in one field and internal notes in another, etc. These fields can be added to the online community page if needed. So any of these fields could store a narrative about the child that we could then put on that online community page. There are 2 alternative methods for displaying the sponsorship amount to donors. The most common is the minimum pledge. And when you see this field, it's going to, for most of your new or all of your new sponsored names, the amount here will be 0 to start with. So the two options here are the minimum pledge and the giving levels or sponsorship levels that we'll look at here in a second. You can't use both levels together or both methods together. The online community page here displays the amount that it costs to sponsor a child. So let's say that your standard amount for almost every sponsored name is $35 per month. However, there are a few exceptions. You may have some sponsored names that require $50 a month. So first we need to see how to set up the global amount. For that, we'll click on the OLC or Online Community button here. And then we'll go to Online Communities Control Record. And partway down this page, we find the monthly sponsorship amount and the annual sponsorship amount. Here's where you'll enter the 35. You can also enter an annual amount here, and it can be displayed on the OLC page as well. So now when we save this, the $35 amount will show for all of your sponsored names. But we need to handle the exceptions that are the $50 per month. For that, I'll find a sponsored name record. So here I would search for the ones that are the exceptions and select them. Move down to the minimum pledge field and enter the 50 here. So now when the donor selects this person to sponsor, they will see 50 as the amount and not 35. The last set of fields on this page allow you to set up various levels of sponsorship for this child. If you use this method, the minimum pledge method we just discussed will not be used, so it's one or the other. This can also be done globally as well, child by child. So back in that Online Communities Control Record page, there's also a global setting there. So you don't need to do this child by child unless there are exceptions to the giving levels. So let me explain how it works. If you want to use this feature, you'll need to discuss it when setting this up with the staff person who's setting up your online community page. They'll need to make some changes to the template to accommodate this method. Now let's say that the cost to fully sponsor a child in your program is $100 per month, and that might be more than some people can afford. So you want to break that up into pieces, but also give your donors a choice of amounts. You'll set up the sponsorship levels that you'll offer to your donors. For example, level 1 might be $100. Level 2 would be 50. Level 3 could be 25, and level 4 could be 10. The OLC page will show the 4 levels to the sponsor. If the donor comes along and selects the $100 level, then this child is considered fully sponsored and Denari will remove them from the website. If the first sponsor selects the $50 option, then the child will remain on the site and only the $50, $25, and $10 levels will remain as options for the next prospective sponsor. Without going through all the possibilities, this gives you the idea of how it works. If an odd amount remains, that amount will show as remaining until all of the $100 is accounted for. This child will then continue to be available to that point, but once that $100 is accounted for, they will be considered fully sponsored. Now that you have the sponsored name record set up, the next step in the process is setting up the donor or sponsor record. There are separate videos that cover this topic, so we won't go into detail here, but just so you get the flow, we'll click on the name button here and then name list management. If the donor is already in your data, you will search for and select that record. If they are a new donor, you can click Add New and follow through the process to create a new name record. I'll select a name record that's already here. As we said earlier, a sponsorship is a pledge. So to continue this process of setting up the sponsorship, we will create a pledge record. So we'll click on Pledges on the right. To set up the new pledge, you'll click Add New. And of course, you'll fill in the pledge information according to the instructions in the pledge video, but this is where the payment amount information, etc., will be recorded. On down the page, we find the sponsorship section and the sponsored name field. Here, we'll click the question mark to the right, and that will show you a list of all the available sponsored name records that you've previously set up. Select or search for the person to be sponsored and then select that record. The sponsor is now linked to the sponsored name through the pledge. Again, there are other videos that cover the details of setting up a pledge, so we won't cover all of that here. When the sponsor sends a check for their sponsorship payment, you will create a gift record. In that gift record, you will select the pledge to link that gift to their pledge. That is the process by which the gift gets credited to the sponsored name, again through the pledge. If you've set up this pledge as a credit card or electronic fund transfer pledge, Denari will automatically create the gift record for you and apply the gift to the pledge. Again, that is covered in more detail in the pledge videos. The correspondence contact field here allows you to select a second person who might be interested in this sponsorship. A good example is when a family sponsors someone. A child in that family may be earning the money for the sponsorship, but a parent supervises and maybe writes the check. So they may want to get the sponsorship information as well. You can get the contact information for this person from Pledge Segmenter, and that would allow you to send mailings, etc., by using the Excel output from Pledge Segmenter. The Q photo card checkbox will be covered in the miscellaneous sponsorship video, but it allows you to create a photo card for this particular donor and this sponsorship of that donor. This completes the process of setting up a sponsorship. We'll cover reports and other miscellaneous topics in the next videos. If you have any questions, you can contact tech support through the support system in Denari.